future network technologies, including 5G. And I guess that's, really all there is to it. This is awesome. So they were talking about this on my favorite morning sports show, because the time that I'm driving into work is actually when they do a segment called Crossover, where the morning hosts and the brunch hosts, the lunch hour hosts, are overlapping in the studio for 30 minutes, and they almost never talk about sports. It's always just like a bunch of kind of jocks broing out about ridiculous nonsense.
Yeah.
So they were talking about the TrumpSingles.com website that promises to make dating great again. So the site experienced a membership spike. Apparently they've racked up around 24,000 members since the official launch in June. And David Goss, the site's founder, told Fox News, this is fantastic, that membership jumped by about 5,000 after Donald Trump's shock election victory in November, with another wave of new members that just signed up. So the basic premise of the site is that Goss was upset about the divisiveness of the election season and wanted a place where people could go to meet people who, especially folks in more liberal areas, where they could have a community to go where Trump supporters wouldn't get hated on. He said, for example, it's hard being a Republican in the LA area. It's not an easy thing.
One interesting little tidbit here, if you go back, is that... Oh, is it gone now?
Yeah. Do you need me to go back to it?
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Oh my goodness, this is great. So, okay, hold on a second. Okay, where do you want me?
Going a little bit. Okay, right there. Perfect. Right here. TrumpSingles.com is not the only dating site to emerge from the... of the
tumult. Yeah.
Tumult. Maple Match
helps Americans fleeing the Trump presidency find a Canadian soulmate. Okay,
is that a thing?
I gotta.
Is that even
this.
okay? What the heck?
That's a print. Okay. Maple Match. Is this real? MapleMatch.com. This can't be real.
Oh
Make
my
dating
God!
great again. The dating app that makes you better at dating. Free iOS dating. Yeah, this doesn't seem to actually say anything about that. With the goal of bringing Americans and Canadians together in a fun, meaningful way.
Wow.
When will I be matched? I can't imagine this is real. This is a really basic site. There's almost no copy on it.
They keep talking about the app. I'm gonna see if it's available.
Okay. In the meantime, though, this is where TrumpSingles.com goes. Maybe the account was suspended just because their traffic has been too high. That's possible,
Account
actually.
Suspended from what?
Contact your hosting provider for more information. I don't know, but make dating great again is gonna have to wait.
Maple Match is not on Android.
Okay. Maybe it's iOS only. That's okay. I got an iPhone.
It did say something about iOS on there.
Yeah. Okay, Maple Match. I feel like this is one of the most disjointed WAN shows we've ever had. Okay, Maple Match.
Okay, hold up. Jake is like, is the WAN show sponsored by Durex or something? Did you not hear any of that? He's avoiding using them.
Yeah. I'm trying to not give my money to... All right. No, speaking of sponsors, though, we should probably do our sponsor spot. So, FreshBooks.
Yeah.
Are you a small business owner? Are you a freelancer? Are you looking to get organized and get paid faster? And basically, are you frustrated with trying to track all your expenses and your hours in a way that is easy to understand?
Like website hosting fees.
Yeah, like all that kind of stuff. See? FreshBooks is all about making your life easier as a small business owner or a freelancer. They've got simple-to-use invoicing tools. They let you track your time with their timesheet function. They let you manage your expenses and keep track of who owes you what. They also have a feature that tells you if your client looked at the invoice you sent. Like, it's one thing if you're like, let's say you do electrical work or like small-time contract, handyman, handy lady, woman, whatever, handy person type work. And if you got like one client per day at a time. That's relatively straightforward. But let's say you ran a yoga class out of your garage or something like that, and there's like 20 people in a class at a time. Being able to send out everybody's invoices and be able to tell, saw it. That way, when they come in for the next class, there's no, oh yeah, sorry, I didn't see it. FreshBooks takes care of all that stuff, and they even have a card reader now. So visit freshbooks.com/WAN and enter WAN in the How Did You Hear About Us section when you sign up for your free 30-day trial. Try it out. Speaking of free 30-day trials, Squarespace offers, I believe it's a 14-day trial, which is not 30 days.
But for those 14 days, you have 24/7 live chat and email support. And if you buy it for 365 days, you get a free domain thrown in for the entirety of those 365 days.
Yeah, it starts at only $12 a month, and you get, I was going to do the free domain talking point. You're killing me here.
Responsive design.
Yeah.
Wrecked.
All of their templates feature responsive design. Your website scales to look great on any device. And actually, you know what? This is funny. My brother wanted to create a website for his small business that's actually doing really well. I had no idea that I gotta get him on FreshBooks as well. Now that I think about it, because basically he breeds aquatic animals and plants for like aquarium enthusiasts.
Yeah.
So things like so axolotls.
Oh, he does okay.
Like a bunch of different stuff. Like I actually went to like the local lizard expo thing just to kind of like be a supportive older brother, and I was like, holy crap, there's like, this is sort of a bigger deal than I thought. These plants are like huge, because there's lots of different benefits of having different plants in your aquarium, and I was like, oh, that's really neat. So anyway, as kind of like a late Christmas present, I hooked him up with a year of Squarespace. I actually paid for Squarespace for the first time. I have never paid for Squarespace before, but I hooked him up with a year, and he was like, oh, this is great. I thought you were gonna, and I'm not gonna name any names because that's not what this is about, but I thought you were talking about the other one. But I heard from everyone that Squarespace is the good one, so I'm glad that's the one you got me. And I was like, oh, well, I'm glad too. They only like endorsing the best, so there's that. But anyway, he was like, yeah, it's like pretty easy to use. So he's working on creating a site and everything right now. I kind of got sidetracked there.
You can also have cover pages if you have a relatively simple site that you want to make, and you need like a one-page kind of design.
Yeah, but like my brother wants to sell stuff,
so
and
he will use the commerce module.
So he'll be using the commerce module,
which is nice and adjustable and set upable and whatnot.
Anyway, free trial, 14 days, no credit card required. Try it out. You know, whether you just want to have a presence for your, local sports team that you coach, or like a small restaurant that you help manage. There's a lot of people out there, like total cottage industry out there, of people using Squarespace as resellers. Basically, someone coming to them saying, can you build me a website? And they just kind of go, yeah, I'll build you a website. They use Squarespace, and they just customize it so that it looks really beautiful for them. And like, you can be 100% transparent, and you'll have to be, because that person is ultimately going to need to be able to sign in to admit it. But like,
there you go.
Not a bad little biz.
And if you're thinking like, man, I need to build something pretty beautiful, you should probably use offer WAN to save 10% off your first purchase.
Damn straight. All right. Nintendo signals the end of Wii U. Did you do that already? All right.
There really isn't much to say.
Here we go. PCGamer.com is the original article here. It was posted by Top Board Gamer on the forum. My balls are really cold. That was a very frozen ice pack. I generally haven't been leaving them in for like an entire day because I'm rotating between them pretty quickly.
Okay.
And that is like super frozen.
Does that like add to the pain, or are they numbed out?
They're cold. Not very painful right now though. Okay. Gabe Newell. Valve is working on single-player games. Open to revisiting the Half-Life universe.
Yeah, so the title of like Gabe Newell confirms new IP in the Half-Life Portal universe might be a little bit of a stretch. It's a quote from his Reddit AMA that I had actually read, all he says is yes when asked if they were developing any fully fledged single-player games. He actually had said nothing about it very specifically being a Portal or Half-Life game. I just wanted to put that out there real quick.
When asked in a different thread if they would revisit that universe, he answered in the affirmative. It's not Half-Life 3 confirmed, but it is possible that it could be a Half-Life related game. Not out of the question.
Okay, I hadn't actually read that quote. That's cool.
So there you go.
Based in Source 2, but seeing that like Titanfall 2 was in Source 2 engine, that's not a bad thing. Titanfall 2 looked good, and it ran really well.
This is pretty cool. The Sentry small form factor case that we actually reviewed an early prototype of a few months back.
Just for the few people that do care as well before we go here,
yep.
He has also said that they're designing VR games, first party, and they're designing a Knuckles controller, which is cool.
Fantastic! So to compete with the Oculus Touch.
Yeah, so we've seen a little bit of that in my review that I did of the Oculus Touch.
Yeah,
we saw a little bit of the Knuckles controller, but I'm sure it'll look a lot better than what I had called it.
So, the Sentry crushed their crowdfunding goal within a matter of like hours, and yeah, it seems to be well on its way. These guys are, I mean, I can't say that they won't sort of run away with everybody's money. It's an Indiegogo campaign, and I, can't personally guarantee them, but from my interaction with them, they seem like good folks. And the product that I had, in spite of being very early, like a very early sample, was something that I would have been, if I wanted a console-shaped PC in this form factor, something I would have been comfortable spending the money they're asking on. So, great job, those guys. Congratulations.
Really solid stuff.
Huge shout out.
Seagate closing one of its largest hard drive manufacturing plants.
Yeah.
This is from Tech Power Up, hosted by Numlock21 on the forum.
Dun 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 dun. Wow.
Located in Suzhou, hopefully I'm saying that right, China. The closure will significantly reduce the company's hard drive output. They're looking to optimize their production, reducing hard drive production capabilities from 55 to 60 million hard drives per quarter to around 35 to 40 million.
Wow.
And Seagate's laying off 2,200 employees.
Wow. So basically what this means is not necessarily that Seagate expects a huge dip in the business for high capacity hard drives. Those, I mean, we met with them back at CES. Those, whether you talk to Seagate or WD, they are pretty bullish on shipping 10 terabyte plus hard drives to cloud storage providers,
Facebook,
data
Google,
centers, Facebook, Google.
Amazon.
Those are not going away. Hard drives are not going away. But what is going away much more quickly than, like, I remember talking to folks at WD and Seagate, back 3-4 years ago. For consumers, as like the main drive in a computer, or even as a secondary drive in a computer, they went away a lot faster than I think they saw coming.
Well, like every single laptop basically used to come with like a 500 gig or 1 terabyte hard drive, and now they don't.
And if they do come with a hard drive, it's a 500 gig or 1 terabyte. Because
not like that 2 or 3 range that should be kind of the low end.
Like if we were still scaling the way we were, and the reason for that is that I don't, whether it's a end user or whether it's the manufacturers, they don't want to invest a bunch of money in the hard drive. And for most people, I believe 1 terabyte is that magical number where realistically the majority of people don't need more than that. Because
especially with a lot of stuff being cloud now, there's a considerable amount of people that don't really save much on their local computers.
Yep. And there's an argument to be made for once you reach a certain amount of storage on a device that can fail, should that even be done? Or would it be safer to just take that 500 gigs or whatever and throw it up in the cloud? Now, the cloud has its own sort of issues. I personally don't store anything incriminating in the cloud.
I'm having troubles finding a way to like make a video that people will actually watch about it, so I don't necessarily know if I ever will. But Synology's doing some really cool stuff.
Are they?
For your private cloud.
Right.
So their NAS has always been solid enough, but now they're working on making things beyond that, like your own kind of hosted off your own server style Google Docs and Google Sheets.
Okay.
So it's not Google at all, but you can have collaborators and multiple people can be editing at the same time, and you can see people editing and stuff. And it's hosted off of your own server, Docs and Sheets, and chat.
Okay.
So a Slack styled, they use that and it looks like it.
Now
I should maybe use some different design cues, but yeah.
I would like to see functionality like that in something like a Docker container, so that it could be used cross-platform. But I know Synology does support Docker, so is that how they're implementing it, or is it going to be like a Synology proprietary
played with it myself much.
Well, I'll be keeping an eye on it, because right now, to my knowledge, there still isn't a super simple, like Dropbox ease-of-use equivalent way to back up photos that you take and videos that you take on your phone. It used to be that Code 42 had like a personal cloud type product of some sort that had an app. Don't quote me on that though. I don't remember who it was, but there used to be something that ended up getting discontinued, and it would be great if you could create something a little bit easier to use.
Yeah. We'll see. I know right now, like, it's a little janky. Like when you set up your thing, it doesn't have a friendly URL right off the start.
Yeah.
So it has like a really messy URL to get to your thing. You can change it, and you can like make it so that it's clean, but you have to go through another one of their apps in order to do that. It's not automatic.
Right.
Because they're not like a low-end client company. They're like a you-know-what-you're-doing kind of company.
AC says Google Drive. No, Google Drive is not the solution. I'm looking to store the stuff on my own thing. Apparently, OwnCloud got forked. Yeah, maybe I'll play around with it. And someone says Code 42's Crash Plan Enterprise does. I called them like a few months ago, back when I was looking into what I was going to use to synchronize our on-site server and our off-site one. I ended up with Beyond Compare running as a scheduled task in with a script because basically I think they had removed that functionality, and there were a bunch of other reasons that it wasn't going to work. But Crash Plan is a really good solution for just kind of backing up an image of your hard drive offsite. Actually, this is kind of a cool thing that I hadn't really talked to anyone internally about, but as part of the server room reorganization, so it was, the old way was Wannick was SATA SSDs,
okay,
and then it had a real-time synchronization server that was mechanical drives. So Wannick is moving to NVMe, and the real-time sync is probably going to be SATA SSDs, and I think I'm going to repurpose that 25 terabyte mechanical one as like a Crash Plan target that everyone who works here can use.
Oh, that's cool.
Which would be kind of cool, because the way Crash Plan works is everything that people would sync to the office would be encrypted as like in a container file. So I would just create like a generic account that everyone can create their own accounts and sync to.
And like I paid the $30 a month to freaking Telus, and now I have unlimited data.
Nice.
So I would just sync like everything.
That's the way to be, man.
Yeah. The month after, because I kept on hitting my data cap like within a gig every single time, and then eventually they called me and they're like, "You're like metering yourself," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not going over because you guys charge a lot." They're like, "Would you like unlimited? We'll give you like a discount."
Nice.
And they give me a discount for like a year, so I'm not technically paying $30 right now, but it'll go back up. And I was like, yeah, sure. And the very next month, it was like massive amounts of data.
They're like, we don't regret this at all. Yeah. I mean, you're on a fiber line anyway.
Yeah. And I think I'm the only one around on it.
Realistically, it costs you nothing. Yeah, so, yeah. So many people are asking me this. Like, for our setup here, why don't you build a SAN? Because I'm not gonna build a SAN. Like, everyone's suggesting that. Have you looked into the cost of a SAN?
It's like, think what we have is expensive. Like,
yes, the gear we have is like kind of expensive. I spent like $20,000 on NVMe SSDs. That is a drop in the bucket compared to what I would spend on a SAN. Not to mention having someone come in and set up, which would require ongoing maintenance because I'm not familiar with it, on a SAN. And for what? Why? Everyone's like, it would be way better. Way better in what way? We don't have 300 employees. No, I'm not gonna run out and buy a SAN.
It's storage area network, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's some people in chat asking.
Yeah. Yeah, basically it uses different networking hardware. Like you would end up building some kind of like fiber channel type of like interconnect. You would have multiple boxes. You would have things like failover, so that if one box just failed outright, the whole thing would keep on ticking. You know what? We don't have that many people, enough people to justify something like that. And the performance of that NVMe box, for all the criticism in the video that just went up about how, man, it was just kind of endless. Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? This is stupid. There's a lot of things people don't consider. Why am I running Windows Server? Because we have all Windows clients, and SMB 3.0 runs best on Windows. Had a lot of people asking why I was using hardware RAID. I am not using hardware RAID. There is no hardware RAID controller for 24 NVMe drives. What hardware RAID controller would I be using? I had a lot of people saying that the performance would be bottlenecked by the 4 10 gigabit network connections. Why? I mean, sure, if I was hitting the whole thing sequentially from one client, then I guess I would need a 100 gigabit client. What would I need 10 gigabytes a second for? It's for multiple clients. When you have multiple clients, it is just fine to spread out over multiple network interfaces, and especially when none of those clients will need more than 1 gigabyte per second at a time. All my clients are either gigabit or 10 gigabit. And the other factor to consider is that unless you are hitting it basically purely sequentially, you're never going to see 10 gigabytes a second anyway. And when we've got multiple people playing back, say for example, red footage at 8K, each of those clients can do like 3 gigabit.
It's pretty heavy.
And then if someone's ingesting footage over there, then they could be writing at about 4 gigabit. And all of that stuff, it makes the interaction with the data more random and less sequential. So could there be a bottleneck? Sure. Am I concerned about it? No. So far, it has been operating extremely well. Thank you very much.
The chat is like, oh my god. Linus is so mad.
I'm not mad. My balls just hurt. Okay. ZTE Project CSX phone. Hands-free eye-tracking device. So this portion of the Indiegogo pledge goal that they have reached is everything. Kickstarter, sorry. Kickstarter pledge goal that they've reached is everything that big companies need to know about crowdsourcing the ideas for your products. Because people have ideas, but that doesn't mean that they would actually pay money for a product that had that idea implemented.
What?
Basically, they crowdsourced a bunch of ideas for this phone, and people were like, "Oh, we want eye tracking scrolling."
Oh, you don't mean the funding. You're talking like they had like a site that you could go to and suggest features.
So they crowdsourced ideas for the phone, and they've like
I didn't even know that.
They've set themselves down on this path where they've committed to build it, and the ideas are terrible. Like, they're just terrible. Scrolling based on eye tracking. So pages should scroll automatically up and down or left and right based on movement.
Absolutely hate it.
Horrible.
Terrible.
Voice commands can be used to navigate between pages. Voice commands are already bad enough. I don't think voice commands need to get any worse. Do you know, I swear Siri has gotten worse. I've been on the iPhone quite a bit lately because I've been waiting for an unlock code for my S7. A lot of people have asked why I'm wearing an Apple Watch lately.
The next one. Sticks to walls and surfaces with self-adhesive paste. That's going to get so gnarly. Just to bring back an old word. Like, that's going to get really gross really fast.
and not work
Yeah.
immediately. Like Dennis bought one of those iPhone. No, he has an S7 Edge, I think. He bought one of those cases that has that microsuction stuff.
It'll work for
and
like
he's
a little bit.
He's like, oh, Linus, this is so cool. You should make a video about this case. I was like, no. Because I'm plenty familiar with that stuff, and within like 8 applications, it's not going to stick to anything. Not to mention that it barely sticks to anything in the first place anyway. Unless you're sticking it to a window, there is no reason to use it whatsoever. Now, to be clear, I love that stuff. So I did a handy tack under 100.